Hey everyone, so I thought that today we could take some time and talk about ADHD and streaming. And as somebody who does both and has both, I don't know, I have one and do the other. I thought it would be useful to share some of my tips and advice for you all who are trying to stream, and maybe you have ADHD as well, so maybe you're here to just hear about one or the other. But hopefully there are some tips in here that can help you deal with being neurodivergent. Yay, neurodivergent club. So I have 10 things that I have written down and thought about that I think would be really useful to share with you all. Number 1, give yourself extra time for tasks. This is important. You know what? I'll probably say that about all of them, but giving yourself extra time for tasks. It was a hard lesson for me growing up and thinking that I could do a ton of things and I can get all this stuff done, but then I would start a task and it would always take me longer than I thought. Now, people with ADHD very, very frequently suffer from time blindness. So we completely underestimate how long it's going to take to get something done. That happens to me a lot, even still. So I always want to give myself some extra time to make sure that I can get through something and not feel as stressed when I have less time than I thought. Number 2, and this relates to number 1, is plan less things per day to be more realistic. So like the first one, when I was saying I was trying to get all this stuff done in one day, you're not going to get as much done as you think, which it's not a bad thing. It may sound negative at first, but really getting a bit more realistic about it and saying, you know what, instead of trying to do 8 things today, I'm going to try to do 3. You're much more likely to accomplish those tasks and not feel as overwhelmed. So in your brain, you'll be like, this is manageable. And getting over those hurdles will feel easier because you're like, I only have 3 things to do today. Maybe you're so stressed you can only get 2 things or 1 thing done, and that's okay. Any progress is progress. And when somebody with ADHD can get over those hills and make that kind of progress and really finish something that they started, it's like a big win. So definitely something you should do. Don't overload yourself with things per day. Number 3, use lists. Use lists. Seriously, I use them all the time. Now I use them in a couple different ways. The first way is that I use them on my phone, and I have a list app. It's literally just a list app, and it helps me keep track of all the things that I'm going to do. I also use the notes app in my phone, and I make lists of different things depending on the subject. For example, all the videos I'm trying to do this month, I have a list so I don't forget, because I forget things constantly. I have so much running through my brain that I need to be able to sort them somehow and not let them slip away after I thought about it and oh, great idea. It's going to go away if I don't get it down somewhere. So having a list is really useful. You can also consider it if you hate grocery shopping, it'll make your life a lot easier if you plan in advance and have a regular list. I use an app for that called AnyList. Number 4, use lists. I'm serious. What I didn't mention in number 3 was that I also have a list of things that I'm trying to get done in the day or in a couple of days on my bathroom mirror. So that's been something helpful for me. Again, it might not work for everybody, but for me, I will write it with a dry erase marker right on my bathroom mirror, right in front of my face, so that when I wake up, I'm right, I have to do that. And that's, again, for somebody who forgets a lot of things that she's trying to do, having that right in front of me is yes, I need to email that person, and I didn't have time earlier, so I'm glad I wrote it down. Or I didn't feel like it now, so I need to write it down, and then it'll give me that reminder instead of just it going away forever. Number 5. So kind of relating to using lists, I would also recommend using reminders. That's another way to kind of ping you at certain times on certain dates. So for example, and I use the reminders app because I have an iPhone, and I'm sure there's an equal one you can use on Android as well. But the reminders app is really helpful for me because it'll be you have an appointment coming up, don't forget. You have your hotfix show coming up in a few days, don't forget. And I'm oh crap, that's right, good, okay. And I also have reminders through the calendar app. So I use reminders in both circumstances. I remind myself days out on occasion. I'll remind myself to stretch. I'll remind myself that I have all kinds of things coming up. Or hey, you're gonna be in this place at this time. You should let this person know. Also, when I'm booking things and I'm I have a reservation window to book something in, I will put a reminder for that reservation window so that when it comes up, I'll be yes, okay, good. I would have forgotten otherwise. So reminders are really, really useful. Please don't underestimate them. I did for a long time, and I'm so glad that I use them now. Number 6. So let's continue on in relating to things, as well as writing things on the mirror or having reminders for you. I also like to set things out in front of me. So put something out in front of you that you want to remember. Here's my example. I need to return something, so I will put it right next to my purse before I leave, before I leave for the house. Or like as soon as I realize I want to return it, it goes right next to my purse. So that when I'm picking up my purse, I'm like, oh my gosh, right, I have to return this. Let's say like something you're gonna wear the next day, set it out right next to your bed, or something you don't wanna forget to pack in a suitcase, or something you don't wanna forget to, I don't know, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have a spot that you will pass by and you will look at and you need to do something with a physical item, put it in one of those places so that you are forced to see it, because otherwise it's out of sight, out of mind, especially for people with ADHD. Number 7, if you can, do the thing immediately before you forget. Okay, so for me, if somebody tells me to do something and I have a couple minutes and it's a small thing I can do, I will do it right there and then. And I get comments like, you don't have to do it right now. My response is always, yes, I do. Now again, you don't have to do this all the time. You can make a note, put it in your list, make a reminder on your phone. But if you have a few minutes to get something done, especially a small task, then it won't be weighing on your mind or something you remember later and regret not doing on time. Number 8, keep doubles of a lot of your things. Now, when I say that, what I mean is like, if you're traveling, have a travel set of your toiletries. Have like extra napkins or extra things in your car so you don't have to bring things into your car and they're already there. If you have a pet, have a travel bag for your pet. If you're going out to something, you can just pick up the bag. Since we have time blindness, there's a big chance that you are going to run out of time when you have to go to something or do something and you're like, I'm not ready. And that's really stressful and frustrating because that will make you late, or you go to the thing unprepared, and you don't want that to happen. So if you are able to, because I know that it could cost a little extra, but if you're able to like buy something, buy 2 of them. Maybe you can find a deal. That's what I would recommend. Either find smaller versions or find a deal, but have backups and have doubles. I have 2 sets of makeup. One that I leave specifically in here in my office because this is where I work. So I always have that, and a second one with my purse. And it can seem kind of extra, but I really, really feel like people with ADHD can really benefit from that because, again, it's one less thing that you have to think about when you're trying to prepare or fret because you're late, like usual, to go to something or do something. Number 9, try to keep things new and stimulating. Now, this is hard because there's a lot of things in life that are repetitive and they get really old really fast. And then it's really hard to stay interested. People with ADHD really have a problem getting through tasks a lot of the times because we have a different kind of motivational bridge than people who are neurotypical. And we just have a much, much harder time with motivation. So if you want more detail on that and kind of what that means, I personally recommend the How to ADHD channel. They have a really amazing video on the motivational bridge, and that was like eye-opening for me. So I definitely recommend that channel. But yeah, for me, it's trying to keep things new and stimulating. If you watch my stream on Twitch, you'll notice that I have to vary up my game a lot, and that became a common pattern for my stream. That's like I play 2 games per stream usually, and then I go from game to game to game, because otherwise I would get really tired and really bored and burnt out, or I just wouldn't have the motivation to do it. So trying to keep things new and stimulating are 2 of the key factors in being able to get across that motivational bridge and get through with whatever task you're trying to do. Whether it's something that you're like, this is a project I want to finish, or this is like, I have to work on my taxes. Maybe you give yourself a reward for it. You celebrate every time you like get through 1 month of the year of tax stuff that you're going through. There's going to be different things that work for you, because the third part of the motivational bridge that works for people with ADHD is making it urgent, which there are clever ways to do. Again, go watch How to ADHD for more tips on that. But for me, things become urgent because I'm late. And so I can get things done, but it's always much more stressful. And we want less stress in our lives. That's part of why I'm doing this video. Last but not least, number 10, Communicate to others about your condition and about the things that you need. It's good to make sure that they know about your struggles with time and attention, because it's not like we don't care about others. And I feel like some people can think that way when you tend to be late to things all the time, or it seems like you're not paying attention. It's really good to learn as much as you can about how ADHD and other forms of neurodivergency works, and to communicate that with people around you that you care about, so that you can understand each other better and they can help you with the things that you need, and then you can better be understood by them. And hopefully all your other tips can help you just function and be less stressed. All right, well, hopefully these tips are helpful to you. I know that these are things that I have learned not only from watching videos and talking to friends, but also just based on practice in my own life, living with ADHD and trying to function without medication. And you know what? Sometimes being medicated for things like this is great, extremely helpful. I didn't like the side effects that happened to me back in high school, and so I found other types of coping mechanisms since, and these are a lot of the ones that are really, really, really useful for me. So I hope that these are helpful for you in some way. Let me know if you already do any of these in the comments, or if you're hearing something for the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds great, I gotta try it. Or if you decide to try it, and then you can come back and let me know if it worked for you. If you want to hear any more about my experiences with ADHD, or any more kinds of tips and things around the same subject, let me know and I'd be happy to do so. I know I didn't relate it a ton to the streaming aspect, but all of these things very generally factor into my streaming life. So we can always go more in depth on that as well. But otherwise, take care, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which should be tomorrow, because we're still in the middle of the December challenge, which is me posting a video every day. So I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone, thank you.